Welcome everyone to another episode of Nerdstrodamus. I'm Dr. Pants.
I'm Lambo.
And we're going to talk about Final Fantasy things. Because E3 is come and gone, and we got a lot of Final Fantasy announcements, but one in particular deserves talking about, which actually most likely every nerd on the internet has talked about it in the past week.
So let's throw our, tiny little feather into the river of other random stuff people say.
Let's give everyone our two gill. See what I did there?
If you will, I guess.
That was a fantastic joke. A final fantastic joke. We're going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake today. Because the past couple of months, we've just been getting more and more information. In fact, we just talked about it in our latest podcast, because that was around the time that trailer dropped before E3. And then at E3, we got a new trailer and gameplay.
Right. And a whole breakdown, because they knew what we were afraid of. They knew what we wanted to see. And they knew we wanted to know some information about how long we would have to wait.
Right. Now, let's get one thing out of the way, because we talked about it in the podcast. We talked about a few other places. We are big Final Fantasy VII fans. We're big Final Fantasy fans. 7 was my first real JRPG. It was one of your first.
Yeah, but I technically played 4 and 6 first, but it's cool.
But it was a real big 3D game for you.
Yeah, it was, immense.
We're both currently replaying it on the Switch.
Yeah, we are. I just made it to Cosmo Canyon.
And I'm in the Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah, so you're a little past me.
Right. Now, we love the game because it's a perfect package. It's got all different varieties of moods in it. It can go from dark and serious to very lighthearted and funny. There's all kinds of things to do in it. There's all these amazing scene-stealing moments. And
it's not just like a press B simulator,
No, there are some legitimate mini games you have to be good at to get through to really get everything.
Because a lot of RPGs, like, you can, kind of do this. Through a lot of the story and a lot of the big exciting parts, where Final Fantasy games, especially like probably up to 9, were a plethora of different play styles. That was one of the fun things that really set them apart from other things.
Right.
Which they've kind of gotten away from in recent years.
Right. More so lately, they've kind of just focused on the combat and very little anything else. But one of the things we were most worried about in the remake was, number one, by changing it to look more realistic from the cartoony hooves for hands.
Are they going to ruin the tone of the game that we love so much?
Right, and are they going to cut out some of our favorite scenes that might not fit nowadays?
Now, the fun part was they announced what the first game is going to entail, and it sounds like they're not cutting anything out.
No.
It sounds like... Yeah.
So at E3, they announced that the first game in this, because it's going to be episodic, is going to take place entirely in Midgar.
Which, you can play through in about 5 hours.
Probably less.
Yeah. Even if you're taking your time.
But not only is the first episode going to be Midgar, it's going to be on 2 Blu-rays.
We're talking Red Dead size stuff here. So, I can't think of too many other games this generation that were like 2 discs.
Right. So they're not just chopping Final Fantasy VII up and giving us those little chunks. They're really going in and adding to it. So, number one, I was always worried about the cross-dressing scene.
Yeah.
I was always worried about that. And good news, they came out and said that is still going to be in there.
Nice.
So I just hope it comes off still kind of lighthearted and funny rather than creepy.
And weird. And, because when it gets realistic enough, when they do silly things, there's a weird uncanny valley thing that kind of ends up happening sometimes when things get too silly.
It's not a problem with cross-dressing in general. It's a problem with that in a video game, like... There is an uncanny valley. Things don't come off as funny as they think they do.
In a cartoony game, it comes off as silly, lighthearted, and goofy. And in a realistic game, it might come off kind of icky.
Yeah.
But they said they're still doing it.
Right. So that's good.
Which means we're going to see the seedy underbelly of, Midgar.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is good, but I'm still a little worried about the tone of the game.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about the content, because 2 Blu-ray discs mean it's got to be huge.
Well, and the fun thing that I was thinking about was we're probably going to get a lot more backstory and a lot more content featuring a lot of the really, really kind of cool characters earlier on in the game. The Turks, the Shinra Corporation, Hojo, a lot of those characters who kind of get some cool moments here and there, but then like are only on screen for a total of 15 minutes in the whole game.
Characters who got all kind of backstory and development in other projects that were not in Final Fantasy VII.
Call. Yeah.
Like the mobile game that was just the Turks that was covered in the mobile game in Japan. Or all the background to the Turks that was in Crisis Core, that unless you played that, you didn't know anything about.
No idea.
Or, do you know in Midgar, when you first get there's a big poster for Loveless? They talk about it a lot in Crisis Core.
Like a real play?
Yeah, it's a real, well, it's not a real world play,
okay.
but it's a
like
play,
a play
in the game.
In the game, okay.
Right, but like we might hear more about that stuff. They might pull from other projects and give us more background on that.
Cool.
Which is really, really cool. Again, we still don't know about the tone, how it's going to handle all that. We do know the motorbike scene is in it.
Oh yeah, because it was,
Which, that's great.
flashingly showed off during the trailer we saw during E3. And one of the other interesting things with the trailer in E3 is that the voices were all different from the last trailer.
Really?
An interesting course correction, if anything. Kind of hearing a little bit of the backstory, because, at the Kupo Cons, we heard some of the backstory of like what the process was like to become a voice actor.
Right.
I remember Ray Chase specifically saying that he went in and like did a couple of different versions of the voice, and he actually almost got dropped.
Yes.
Playing Noctis.
Right.
And it was Steve Burton, who was originally going to be playing Cloud Strife, tweeted out this past week that he's like sad he's not going to be in the new Final Fantasy game. Pretty much. I mean, he definitely sounded like supportive and whatever, and like, oh, it's too bad I'm not going to be in it. But I don't know. Like, look at that face right before the thing.
Yeah, that's not a happy face.
It's not a terribly happy face
No.
before you click the play button. But nonetheless, they got a whole new set of voice actors, most of whom are kind of like relative up and coming nobodies, if you want to kind of put it like that.
But there are some who
Yeah.
are veteran voice actors.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the voice of Futaba from Persona 5 is in there.
Oh, yeah.
We've got voices from Transformers, which...
Yeah, and the two that I'm most familiar with is Britt Baron, who's playing Tifa, is from Glow.
Yeah.
And Tyler... I'm so sorry about your name. I'm so sorry.
Let me see it.
Tyler...
Nope, no idea who that is.
Yeah, but he played Superman on Supergirl the last, 3 years. And he's awesome as Superman. And he played a really sinister, evil Superman on the couple of crossovers they did.
Oh, I was going to say, it seems weird to go from Superman to Sephiroth.
Yeah, no, he definitely has this kind of menacing thing that he can do. So he might play a really cool Sephiroth. And the only interesting thing about that is I'm sure if they're getting picked up for this now, they're going to be the people going forward for, I don't know how many iterations they're going to do.
I don't know.
How many Final Fantasy VIIs are we going to get now?
I don't know. And how many years is going to be between them? Because it's been this long just to get us through Midgar.
And are we going to have to own a PlayStation 5 and maybe PlayStation 6 to be able to finish out the story?
What, you think it's going to be like Kingdom Hearts?
Oh no. I just had a scary thought that you just put in my brain for the first time.
What?
That it's going to be like Kingdom Hearts.
And it's going to be 1,000,000 games? And they're going to ruin the plot? And it's not going to be worth it to finish it? I'm not bitter.
No. I think the worry there is, do we want that much? Is a Final Fantasy game supposed to be like 50 hours of the first 5 hours of do you know what I mean? Final Fantasy game to me and to a lot of people is an engaging story that that you finish. Right.
So my worry is
Right?
another worry of mine is it going to be a complete game? Is this first episode going to feel like a complete game? Are we going to get a beginning and end of the Midgar story? Because in truth, the whole Midgar scene does feel like a complete story.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, and it's right after that really the game opens up, and then you start to get the background on Sephiroth and everything, and you start to learn about all that. So I'm hoping that it does feel like its own game. I don't want it to be just episodic, where it's like, stay tuned for the next episode of Final Fantasy VII.
But here's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
So in Final Fantasy VII, you can go back every once in a while to places that you've previously gone to. In future games, are you even gonna be able to go back?
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
You have to go back. At the end
know.
of 7, you have to go back to Midgar.
And they might make that a thing later on, but are you going to be able to, in the second iteration of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, are they going to be able to let us go back and get something we missed in our first playthrough?
Actually, I don't think you can go back to Midgar right afterwards.
Well, I know. You definitely can't.
No, you have to get a key.
But the idea is still...
Yeah, and like
that kind of thing.
Right, and not long after that, you open up the world map and you can go back to all these places.
Right.
My thought is this: that the first game is going to be all Midgar.
Mm-hmm.
The second game is going to be everything up to the climactic moment in the Northern Crater.
Okay. Oh, really? All that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they're going to jam-pack Midgar with just about as much as a world map would have.
Okay.
And then we're going to get that. Because after that, the world changes, and then I think we're going to get a third episode that's everything after that.
Okay, so you think we're going to get up to like the weapon situation?
Right, I think that's going to be the end of 2.
That would be kind of cool.
Right.
That would be kind of cool.
That's where I think we're going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's still a lot.
There is a lot, but...
I feel like you could make a whole game at like...
Okay, so...
Cosmo Canyon.
No.
I know.
So hear me out.
Yeah.
In my current playthrough, I'm at 11 hours at the Temple of the Ancients.
Mm-hmm.
If we say that Midgar's about 5 hours, and I've spent a little over 5 running around on the world map right now, because a lot of stuff hasn't opened up yet.
Yeah.
So I think that the episode 2 could go out that far, but we'll see. Let's talk about one other thing they showed us, though.
Sure.
Gameplay.
Yeah.
We know how the combat works now.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually kind of excited for it.
That really solidified me wanting to get it and play it, because even if they change up the story, even if it's not the Final Fantasy VII I remember,
is it still going to be a good game?
It looks fun.
Yeah.
The combat looks so much fun. You've got your regular attack in 3D. It's a hack and slash kind of action game that you're building up these bars to then use big attacks where everything stops and you can plan out your attacks.
That's cool.
And
yeah,
switch between characters.
And that kind of, because in my heart, we were having a text conversation with Slow Tad, and he was like, "You're gonna hate the Final Fantasy VII remake if there's no turn-based stuff." And I'm like, "Well, it kind of added a little bit of the ATB bar thing going on."
It is kind of it reminds me a lot of Xenoblade when you would do a chain attack.
Yeah.
Where it would slow down and you could pick your big attacks and then go through and do.
So nice.
Right. It's still action oriented, but a little bit turn-based
I liked
stuff.
the whole, I saw there was a moment they were fighting the giant scorpion. And, Cloud sort of pulled aggro. And then they switched over to Barrett, and he started attacking from the other side.
Yeah.
And you can distract with your other characters and stuff like that. It's the kind of thing that you would imagine and hope that Final Fantasy 12 would sort of work like.
Or 15 should have worked like.
Should have worked like, but it did not work that way.
Right.
If you just had enough potions, you could survive a battle no matter what.
Well, I think that's true of any Final Fantasy game, really.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more kind of. You could be severely underleveled and still survive.
Right.
Yeah.
The gameplay looks strategic. It looks fun.
Yeah.
It looks interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. I've pre-ordered the game. I love the first section of that game. Midgar, I mean, we've played through it endless
Yeah, I was going to
time.
say, I've only beaten the game all the way through twice.
Same here.
But I've played Disc 1, and the Midgar section at least definitely 10 times.
Oh, probably more for me.
Yeah.
It's so good, and the fact that they're kind of opening up Midgar, which I hope is what they're doing, is something I want to see, because there's all these sectors. We only get to go to 3 of them.
Yeah, and you hear the story that they're fighting for, the will of the people and all that kind of stuff who live there. And are they actually, can we see some of the people we're fighting for?
And can we meet more of the Avalanche members? Get to know Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse a bit more, because we only see them for I want to say it's 2-3 hours, maybe, if that.
And you only see as much of them as you want to, really.
Right.
And they don't play a huge part in the beginning of the story there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Marlene.
Yeah.
Who's there?
We'll have to wait and see. Mm-hmm. But we're excited for it. We're still a little worried about some parts of it. It's one of our favorite games of all time being remade and completely changed. But we're still excited based on what we've seen. Mm-hmm. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Are you a big fan of it? Have you ever played 7 before? Are you worried about the changes, or are you excited?
Or have you never played the Final Fantasy game before, and you're looking at this going, this looks kind of cool?
Yeah. Who knows? It comes out March 20th, 2020. Mm-hmm. Wait, March 20th or March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So many 20s.
Yeah.
I can't see into the future. I don't have 20/20 vision.
That's
why I have glasses. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Smash that like button. Follow us on all the social medias. We're everywhere. We're Nerdstrodamus everywhere except for Twitter, where we're Nerdstrodamus for down low. And check out Nerdstrodamus.com.
And we'll probably be streaming it when it comes out. So
we better be.
Yeah,
we better be. I'm surprised we've never streamed just Final Fantasy VII.
It's too long. I think we've talked about games and we like to stream and we look at certain ones and we're like, I don't want to sit for 30 weeks and play one game. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, make sure to comment. Let us know everything. And for Nerdstrodamus, I'm Dr. Pants.
Lambo.
And we'll catch you some other time. Final Fantastic!